Okay, I'm going to show how to make a harness for a mink or other small, long-bodied animal that easily wriggle out of things. Reason I created this harness was actually for a wild mink, mink that were untamed, unhandled, that were dangerous and afraid of you, and you didn't want to do anything to stress them out because they already see you as a predator and they're already afraid of you, so you don't want to cause any more fear or any more stress than necessary. And yet I wanted to be able to get a harness on them, and so I had to figure out how to do that without stressing them out, and also be able to figure out how to put a harness on them that I knew they couldn't wriggle out of. You know, if a tame mink, if you take it on a walk and it wriggles out of a harness, it's a pain in the butt. A wild mink wriggles out of a harness, you probably just lost your mink. So I needed to be 100% reliable as well as easy to put on. So what I did was I created this harness basically out of a string. What you want is you want to take nylon string. You don't want any other material because it might rot or it's not as strong. So you want nylon string, and you want to take the ends and you want to melt the ends off. Let me see if I can show you one here. It's kind of hard to see, but the end of this string is melted off so it doesn't fray. If you just cut it and leave it like that, it'll fray off and look ugly and fall apart. So you want to melt the end so that it's hard and it won't fray. And then you make a noose. Really pretty simple. You take the string, you double it over, right? You make a little noose. See that? And then you just tie it over itself. So you just wrap it around itself. You see that? Oh, sorry. You pull it through. So it's just doubled around itself, right? See, there's the little end. There's the noose. You don't want to leave it like that. It's ugly and it'll fall apart. And see this noose? It's too big. This tail is too long. See? So you want that tail to be short. So you just basically wiggle it down. You first get rid of the tail, is the easiest part. So you pull the tail up. It'll make the noose bigger, but that's okay because we'll make the noose smaller in a minute. And you just want a little nub. See that short little tail? If you have a long tail, the mink will be stepping on it with its feet and getting rope burn between its toes. Not a good idea. Then your noose is even bigger, right? So you want it, the excess string, to go here on the long part. So you just figure out which strand is going to lead to the correct part. So you just kind of follow it around. Okay, so it'll be this end of the loop, and you just basically tighten it down so it's like this. Oops, wrong one, sorry. There you go, like this. See how that you've got a nice little loop with a small little nub, a loop that's just big enough that the rope can fit through easily, right? See, here's another one. See, nice tight knot, small little loop, and no extra string hanging off, right? Okay, then all you do is you take the end and you feed it back through it itself. Okay, so you take the little loop and you run the string through the loop. So you create a little noose, kind of like a little lasso or a little snare or whatever you want to call it, right? See? And this is going to go around the mink's neck. So you want to measure it out so that it's just big enough to fit around its neck snugly. And then you're going to make a second noose the exact same way you did the other one. So identical to the same thing you just did. So repeat the first few steps so that you have two nooses. Okay? So here you are. You've got noose number 1, noose number 2, and they're attached to each other through the middle, right? See that? So you got noose number 1, noose number 2, and they're attached. And once you do that, you measure it out so that the neck's big enough, so you've got enough string that it can go around the neck and the waist of the mink and not be too tight, but definitely not be too loose. And you want just a little bit of room in the middle here. See this middle part? Just a teeny bit of room. You want this neck part and this body part to be pretty snug, not choking them of course, but pretty snug, so that they can't like get lots of slack in it. And then once you have that, you've got this tail end, right, this leftover rope. Just want to cut that off right here. Short little nub, once again left over, melt it down so that there's a little bulb of plastic that will not only keep it from fraying but keep the knot from coming undone. And then right in between these two nooses, this little area here is where you're going to either put a snap on, or it's hard to put a snap on with gloves, so if you've got a wild mink you can't use a snap. So I just use another string. I'll take that while it's on the mink, wrap it underneath, and this one has a noose identical to the others. Run the end back through it, and there we go. That's how it attaches, right? You've got the leash right here attached in the middle of the two nooses, and of course this extra part right here would be cut off. So you've got noose 1, noose 2, and the leash in the middle. And then when it's on the mink, of course it won't be loose like that. It'll be around its neck and around its body, and there you go. Doesn't matter how wild and crazy the mink is, this isn't going to come off them once it's on it until you decide to pull it off. And you can put it on a mink that totally uncooperative, and you can do it pretty quickly and easily without stressing them out. If it's a tame mink, just put the nooses in your hands and just run them right over your mink's neck, both nooses together, then separate it, get one to go over its legs, and then you've got this over its neck and this over its behind its legs, and you're set. Pretty simple, pretty easy. I hope that helps. I hope that was easy to follow. If you don't understand it, you have any questions, give me just write me a message and I'll see what I can do to help.